Welcome back to Jack's blog. Today we're talking about Agostino, a lovely little boy, and also the name of a novel that we are reading. I think he is innocent. Well, he is at the start. By the end,
Right.
you could say that is ruined. One thing that I was thinking about during the reading of this short little novel. What do they call them? Novellettas? Novellas.
Novellatino.
Novellatinos, as the Italians call it. Was that it was interesting that Agostino's innocence was ruined sort of by this like chance encounter with a different social class. And I think the class differentiations is something that is interesting to me, in that everything that is like quote unquote I don't want to say bad, but everything that kind of ruins his innocence kind of comes from this sort of like less proper class of poor boys. If that makes sense.
I think it makes sense because he also, because of his class, I think he was extremely sheltered growing up.
Yeah.
Just because even he mentions at one point, like, going back to hang out with the kids, like the other wealthy kids.
And then he's like, oh, they're so boring.
Yeah.
But then what does that mean? I mean, like, in the novel as a whole, what does it mean that, like, the sources of these losses of innocence, of these less proper things, of this bad morality, is the poor working class folks, and that sort of like taints his experience as a rich boy.
And he even tries to like cosplay as
He does try to cosplay as a poor kid, which is a strange scene. But I'm not sure if I've quite figured out what my answer is to my questions of like what is the novel trying to say with the like social class. I mean, obviously there's very strong themes of like loss of innocence, of growing up, of in a quite Freudian manner, changing the way that you look at your mother. You know, do you know what year this book was published? I can't remember.
I think it was in 1940 something.
Oh, so
like
we're talking
47.
We're talking post Freud then.
Yeah.
Because Freud is all over this.
Well, yeah, no, he definitely, if you read the translator's note, even, he, I forget what previous work was, like, mentioned, but he's been interested in, like, Freudian psychology, and it's been reflected in his past works, so he's obviously, like...
The phallic mother, as they say. I actually don't know what it means.
Well, like, Oedipus complex.
Yeah, I mean, that whole thing.
Yeah.
Well, it is interesting that, like, especially at the end, he tries to replace his, like, view of his mother as a woman with a prostitute.
Yeah.
But that doesn't really work out for him too well. And he's like, now I want to leave. He feels trapped and he wants to leave because nothing really goes well for Agostino in this book.
Also,
I mean,
he's just a boy, like, starting to go through puberty.
He's just a boy.
In a lot of ways, it's like, yeah, the whole thing with the descriptions of, like, how he sees his mother are very intense and, like, you know, kind of off-putting. But also, I feel like he's been so sheltered from everything, and now he's, like...
Off-putting.
Okay. And now he's having all these feelings and, like, the sexual frustration which comes with puberty, but honestly, like, he doesn't even know what puberty is. He didn't know what sex is. He didn't know what sex was until he met the boys. So it's like, yeah, it's strange, but, like, when you consider that he had like had never thought about sex before, and now he's just like seeing his mother in this light, it's like it's weird, but it's not like totally surprising based on like his level of sheltering, you know.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't think it is entirely surprising to Agostino either.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few moments where it mentions like he had an inkling of stuff that was going on, but the boys kind of like open his eyes and then confirm his suspicions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's interesting. I forget what I was going to say actually. I lied. I do remember now. I was going to mention how it's interesting how he sort of in this summer grows up to see the reality of the world around him and a bit more of what life is and what it entails, and by the end of it he doesn't like it and he wants to leave, which is an interesting sort of like privileged rich kid stance to take of like, well, I'm just going to reject it and request something different, which is indicative of his character.
And I mean, he really, at the end of the book, like, I feel like he is painted as being in like a lot of pain. He's so tortured, and it ends like it would be many years before he becomes a man,
right,
kind of thing, like before he's free from this torment. But it's like, it's kind of like he just hasn't like he's met all these kids whose lives are way harder than his own, and he kind of just hasn't like absorbed any of that. He hasn't like thought to think like, actually my life's not that bad.
He has no,
because he's pretty like
the boy doesn't have a Marxist bone in his body, that's for sure.
And he's also a 13-year-old kid, and he's pretty immature, so like, you know, maybe that will change, but at the moment he's pretty concerned with himself and pretty unaware.
Yeah, very self-concerned, and I think that's pretty also shown in his like, everything here is kind of driven by his own curiosity in a matter. He has some sort of like ticker within him that is driving him to do these things and to spy on his mother and to go with the poor boys and to betray what's his name?
Homs with an S, which I've never seen that movie before. But
so he has this sort of like almost innocent, floating through life quality, and that eventually gets just shattered over and over again. Whether it be the boy he initially meets who's an asshole to him, the pedophile who holds his hand as he reads him a poem, his mother who was having sex with the pool boy, not really the pool boy, but the
young
rower
boatman.
boy, the boatman, or you know, Tortema who betrays him at the brothel, or the older man who's mean to him at the brothel. You know,
his life is just so hard, and
his life is so hard.
It's only gonna get harder, Agostino. I'm just telling you.
Yep.
But
best of luck, Agostino.
We hope one day you have sex with a woman who's not your mother.
Well, I don't think he has sex with his mother. I hope it
He doesn't, but I mean, like, hopefully he's able to.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's not a real person.
Thinking of his mother.
He's just a character.
He is, for the purposes of this vlog, he's a real person, and we're wishing him well. Agostino, good luck.
Agostino only exists in the book and not in real life, just to clarify, in case there's any confusion, because I know Kendra seems convincing at times, but